Hey everybody, welcome back to day 6 of this 30 Days of Mindfulness series. So starting today and for the next 5 days, I'm going to be talking just about cultivating concentration in a meditation practice. This isn't always the best word to use for it. Other words that are sometimes used are unification of the mind, bringing the mind together, finding stability in mind. So this is the general trajectory of this, though. It's a process of finding an anchor, such as the breath, stabilizing the mind, resting it on this mind, and beginning to cultivate a sense of balance, composure of the mind, where it's not so easily pushed and pulled in every direction. And one way of talking about this that I've heard from a teacher that I found really supportive is it's this process of unifying the mind, taking all these disparate parts of the mind that are moving in different directions and folding all of the experience into one process, such as the breath, which can serve the gentle rhythm of the breath can serve to support and start to bring balance to the whole system, the mind and the body. So I mentioned this word trajectory, and over these 5 days, I'm going to be talking about 5 factors of cultivating a concentration practice. And the first two are placing and sustaining the attention, right? So finding the object, such as the breathing or the sensation of the body, stabilizing the mind on that object, right? So it's not just placing it, though. We actually have to stay with the process of it, keep the mind, rest the mind on that process. And then as that begins to happen, certain qualities can begin to emerge in concentration, and they're worth noticing because they're supportive factors for the mind. And so there's something like joy or happiness. It feels good to not be caught in the same usual patterns. And there's a sense of tranquility that begins to come in the mind. It begins to just say, this feels good, it's settling, it's calming effect. And then the last day is going to be discussing what's called one-pointedness, or this one focus, one salient feature of the mind. So those will be the 5 total talks: placing, sustaining the attention, joy, sense of tranquility that comes from that, and also this one-pointedness of mind. So today and tomorrow, I'm just going to talk about the first 2 of these, which is just placing the mind and sustaining the mind on the object of awareness. And the common anchor that's usually offered, which I'll be doing here today, is this rhythm and the sensations of the breath. And particularly today, I want to talk about how it is that we can place the mind on the anchor, right? So I talked about this placing and sustaining the awareness, right? So I think we're familiar what this feels like, bringing the awareness back to the breath, and then there's a sustaining of the awareness. But the question in placing the mind is, what is the quality of mind when we're bringing it back to the awareness? I think a common thing that I hear from folks and have experienced myself is that when I notice the mind is thinking, it's like, damn, it's gone, I'm lost, I messed up, right? But in actuality, that recognition that the mind has gone somewhere is itself mindfulness, right? Being aware of what's happening in the mind. And also, it's the first step of this placing the mind. So noticing where the mind is, placing it back to the breath. So as we notice the mind's wandering and we're bringing it back to the breath, this isn't a punishment like, I messed up, I've got to come back and I'm probably just going to mess up again. It's like, no, this is the process. This is an important part of the process. And how we do it is important to the overall tone of our ongoing meditation practice because, as I've mentioned already in this series, this happens many, many times for myself, for most folks who are sitting down and meditating. So it's not like only one, it's just you if your mind is going off and wandering in thoughts. This is a big part of the practice. And the encouragement is that every time we do this, it's done in a friendly manner, right? It's like, okay, I see where you're at, and we're coming back to this. Almost like we can recognize from this place of awareness, the mind is in thought, it's there, it's about to move further into the story, and we just say, oh, that's not what we're doing right now. And so there's a release in that moment. One thing that I like to do myself is to kind of, as I'm feeling the mind releasing from the thinking process, also feel like I'm releasing the body from the thinking process, because there's a bodily component for me sometimes, just re-softening, rebalancing, just very slightly, just kind of, okay, softening the mind, softening the body. So this is one way of looking at this, placing the mind, is the releasing of it. And then it's how we return to the anchor as well, right? Coming gently back to the sensations of the breathing. And this is encouraged to be done in a friendly way. A common metaphor for this process, it's like a puppy that you're trying to train, who keeps walking too far away, right? And you gently bringing it back, right? This is what we can do with the mind when it starts to wander away. Gently bringing and placing it back on our anchor of awareness, the rhythm of the breath. So I think the best way to practice this is to try. So wherever you're sitting right now, just finding your upright posture that's comfortable and balanced, and the back can be upright, the shoulders can fall back, releasing the tension. And if it feels comfortable, you can close your eyes. So just softening any unnecessary tension that's being held in the body. Doing this in a global manner, using the rhythm of the breath to softly release any unnecessary tension. And beginning to connect intentionally to the sensations of the breath in whatever way feels supportive for you. Specifically noticing how it feels when you place the mind or your awareness on the sensations of breathing. Just placing the mind on the breath and allowing it to settle into the gentle rhythm of the in and exhalation. Continually noticing when the mind is wandering. And in these moments, just releasing the mind, the heart, from the process of thinking, softening back and opening back into the rhythm of the breath. Every time we notice what's happening in the mind, this is a moment of mindfulness. And it's the first step in coming back to the anchor, falling back into this gentle rhythm of the breath. So we're continually placing the mind back on the rhythm and sustaining with it. Becoming familiar with your own unique experience of connecting to your anchor. This is always a source of refuge and support for you. And the more we tune into this direct placing of the mind on the breath, the more it begins to feel like home. So thanks for taking the time to sit still as always and to practice. And my hope is that this movement of bringing the mind back to the present moment begins to become a more natural process. This is one of the most central parts of mindfulness, And so that's why I really wanted to focus on it today, because the quality of how it's done can really impact the experience of meditation, If it's continually punishing ourselves back to the anchor, it's not going to feel good. But if in these moments, it can be a moment of just like, oh, actually I did notice what was happening in my mind, and I'm returning or I'm coming back to my anchor. This is a supportive quality. And so this is done in meditation, and it can also be something which is taken off of the cushion, right? Whenever it is you're doing in your day, whether it's doing your work or some kind of movement like walking, you can bring mindfulness into whatever it is you're doing, and it can have the same kind of quality to it. It can be the simple noticing, oh, my mind is somewhere else. let me come right back here to preparing my lunch, to getting my work done, to going for a walk. Every time that movement is done, it becomes more and more of a natural and encouraging process. So thanks for being with me today, and as always, look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks.